Hi there, how are you today? And how were your other classes going before this one? Thank you for being here. I'm really thankful for one's invitation for me to deliver a lecture to you about the digital infodemic during the COVID-19 pandemic. One and I knew each other through a workshop for infodemic management training. Even we haven't met each other yet, our remote connection has facilitated it. Remote connection is exactly the key character for the contemporary society impacted by the digital infodemic during the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, this doesn't mean that today's class finished here. Anyway, how are you feeling about this lecture being delivered through this recorded video? How if I deliver it through a live Zoom meeting or even in person? Do you feel the same? I will leave 30 seconds for you to think about it. Time starts now. Okay, time's up. I haven't introduced myself to you. My name is Chen. I'm currently based in Taiwan, and I'm an independent medical anthropologist because my current research is self-funded and supported. And I own a company in Taiwan, which is Taiwan's Artificial Intelligence Works and Nexus. I'm also the president of Taiwan's Artificial Intelligence Workforce and Network, Incorporated, registered in Canberra, Australia. The abbreviation of both is Taiwan. Meanwhile, I'm holding a position as a casual theater staff at the Australian National University. Unfortunately, Australia has yet to get to the stage that talent and skills can be prioritized or better appreciated by employers than one's residential status. I'm still a temporary resident, even I've been there for 13 years. So even many local people are not as professional as me, they will be prioritized or preferred for position I have been looking for. I hope this situation in USA is getting improved now by your current government. Anyway, do you still remember the 30 seconds that I would like you to think earlier? I hope what you were thinking during such a short time can give you a little bit hint for answering three of your given questions for week 2, which is this week. Those are the characteristic and implication of the COVID-19 digital infodemic on public health, the stakeholders and factors influencing the landscape of COVID-19 digital infodemic, the similarities and differences of the COVID-19 digital infodemic experiences across different cultural contexts. Before I talk about a conference paper for Society for Applied Anthropology this year, I will play a short documentary that I collaborated with a film director in Taiwan for the story about one of my research participants. I chose this video for this class because the key character for this documentary also participated in my PhD study completed in 2020. My PhD study is about AIDS, HIV/AIDS in Taiwan, and the topic is fear of longevity, fear of living longer, and everyday struggles in the pharmaceutical age of AIDS Taiwan. as I revised my thesis in 2020, which was the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. A small portion of my thesis is reflected upon idea from my own COVID-19 experience. The name of the key character for this documentary is Hua Peng. Hua Peng doesn't mind his identity to be exposed. However, I still would like you guys to keep what you are going to watch for yourself and this class only. Please do not take any photo or recording. If you would like to play this documentary in some other places, please send me an email. We can discuss it later. And please enjoy Hua Peng's story before, during, and after the COVID-19 pandemic. By the way, please pay attention to Hua Peng's view about the COVID-19 pandemic and the way how he talked about his viral load for HIV and his medication. This will be more relevant to the topic for today's class.
台湾第一个发起这个艾滋抱抱的活动是我干哥张耀辉，他是在西门町红楼这边。我的背景跟那个张耀辉不一样。我干哥他的资源很多，他是有帮歌星那些作词作曲有收入，然后他有出版书，然后他还有去那个大学那边讲课，他是有资源的，有收入的。我是完全没有那种资源的协助，所以我知道我的路一定会比他更难走。然后他去世让我想了很多，我到底是不是应该要勇敢的那个站出来，延续他的那个精神。本来想说去走那个大甲妈祖如果被感染到那个武汉病毒的话，也甘愿。
为什么这样子想？
就自己走那个大甲妈祖，那是自己想要去走的，所以是自己要去那个神兽啊。可是如果在外面无缘无故就被人家感染到，那种感觉不一样，感觉不一样啊。跟自己过去找人玩，然后得到那个 HIV 一样的意思啊。吃不落。 如果这个的话，我就可以了。39岁，我来命他。
今年几岁啦
？42啊。所以跟我年纪差不多的我都 OK 啊。然后再来，我超过50岁，有人要就好了。还买无？留足久啊呢，你买小小好哩，好不好？哎，回了嘞。
那为什么？
他说：“你是说你在龙江夜市摆摊吗？”
就这样说是啊。
有啊。还要干嘛这样？还要干嘛这样？那个病毒量6万多还好吧
6万多不是已经爆表了吗？刚刚医生不是说爆表？
还没有报表，真正的报表是我之前那个台北那个，它是破100万。
那你都不怕自己破100万啊？
那个机器没有办法设到。
你都不怕自己爆表？
还好吧。
医生有骂人吗？
有啊，医生在骂人吗？你乱说。
没有骂人啦，我有我的办法可以对付。
对付什么？
就改善呀、撒娇啊，然后装无辜的人啊，然后就答应他好好的，先答应他好好的吃药啊。
那你干嘛不好好吃药？
我忘记要收水了妹。
真的是这样吗？
真的。没有，其实我跟他的药妆是一样，我就拿一半给他们，没有就拿1瓶给他，我没有吃啊。
哪有人这样子药跟人家一起吃的？
那时候我跟他的关系就不一样嘛，然后现在没有关系了嘛，因为现在我跟20那个没有关系了啊，因为彰化跟他都没有关系啊，只有新竹有啊。哦。
不过你的药也是不能分别吃，你药该吃还是要吃。
可是那是我的最爱啊，然后又跟他吵架，我也忘了吃，心情不好就不想吃了。还要干嘛这啊？还要干嘛这啊？还要干嘛这啊？就小杯啦。肉感比较好卖。
这些算是珠宝首饰，是路德那边拿的吗？
不是啊，去台中那个浴室那边买的。
都没有任何东西了。
没有。今年假在中部。对。我去那边看看。他卖200，他卖300。啊，这无卖着。来啊，看马仔哦。来啊，看马仔哦。掉了，我好像蛮瘦了，不可以买这个。4月18号刚好那个什么蓝瑶公他要洗假，走那个讲白沙屯 A 号，还是大甲麦 A 号，还是彰化的那个讲蓝瑶公 A 号，你只要走完任何一个，可以走完全省哦。可以啊，明年啊。啊，你去哪里买的？那个白沙屯哦。是啊。
那你有什么事情想要问雅慧吗？
没有啊，跟他讲完了。
讲完了。你想跟他讲什么？
我说，请哥哥帮我解决问题。
你做什么的问题？
在里面啊。
你可以跟我说你怎么跟雅慧哥哥说吗？
你就说那个啊，请哥哥，我现在在里面有遇到问题了啊，请哥哥你帮我解决。
所以你会觉得那个是问题吗？
你为什么觉得那是问题？
啊？
你为什么觉得那是问题？
因为我觉得我不应该再让他这样下去呀。
那你为什么觉得只有雅慧哥哥可以帮你解决？
要不然我也不知道
不知道该
怎么办。
可是你要自己也要想一下。
哎，你看这边啊，还不错，
还不错。所以你今天其实你是想来帮自己找地方。
对啊。
你看了几个地方？
没有，就那一个啊。
刚刚那一个。
嗯。
那你最想来的其实是这里，对不对？就是这里，大概不是你负担得起地方。
可是这样太远了，要走过来。
所以你就想要，这是你一个希望，也想要通过这样的机会，让你有机会来这边，对吧？
好了，要走了。 就那只大庙啊，
嗯
还没有盖的之前啊，它是一个铁皮屋啊，
嗯
然后铁皮屋呢，它的百姓宫旁边，我老爸就在旁边搭那个木屋啊。
所以你小时候住在这边哦？
有住过这边，也有，就有时候搬家搬了很多次啊。然后后来我爸爸他出狱之后没有地方，就来这边住啊。
哦。
我也跟他来这边住啊。哦，他还不来把它割一割哦。他这只不会用。我今天有去做1本6本。要收工了。还要回去煮饭。现在就是老爸没有办法上来啊，他没有办法上来的话，我就要那个，就有一些事情跟他跑。
Alright, I hope you enjoyed this documentary, even it's a bit sad for me. Anyway, and the English subtitle still has a couple of errors. We will change it later. But anyway, so through Huapeng's story, I hope that this video can give you a little bit idea about how the COVID-19 pandemic looked like in Taiwan. I show you this video because some of Huapeng's information recorded in this video would be viewed as inaccurate for biomedicine and public health. For example, his viral load was indeed overloaded, but he said no, and he compared it with his friend. How if this, I got a couple of questions for you to think about it. How if this video would begin to become circulated on the internet during the COVID-19 pandemic, but not here in the class? How if Huapeng shares his view on the internet and people believe that his message, such as his viral law, overloaded viral law, are accurate? My point here is that misinformation or rumors may not be entirely falsely made on purpose. It can only become misinformation or rumor once it becomes circulated to be seen and known by other people. if Huapeng keeps this information for himself, are those still considered as rumors or misinformation? So, what infodemic will be about during the pandemic, such as COVID-19, include treatment, knowledge of virus, because we don't know about it, prevalence, infectivity, patient zero, and so on. This is also the case for AIDS pandemic in the early 80s, or nearly, the first half of 80s. The only difference is that the COVID-19 pandemic was so intertwined with digital technology. Now I will present a conference paper that I delivered at the Society for Applied Anthropology in March this year. The panel was When Hearsay Comes True, Everyday Struggles and Challenges Facing the Vulnerable in Search of Social Justice, Alternative Faith, and Desirable Peace. In this paper, I explored a little bit about how fake news rhetoric have impacted public understanding of information. The panel discussed how the stakeholders and factors impact the landscape of digital infodemic across new media platforms. Until my presentation was recorded for SFAA, I was unable to get connected with the other two presenters. They are overseas Chinese students. And this paper was to trace my participation in social movement in both Taiwan and Australia through my own cross-cultural experience. I incorporated a few digital and AI technologies to this presentation. The objective is to also explore how digital and AI technologies could be practical and even beneficial to everybody's work in a meaningful, ethical, and responsible manner. And you can see there is an image, and the description I used for this text-to-image generative AI is 3 monsters, 3 angels, and many animals flying out from the box. I use Adobe Express for this image for my topic, out of box. And it symbolizes that ideologies by which each object is incarcerated are released or brought out of box. And only thinking out of box, ideologies arriving to our monitor every day may become decolonized. As you may notice, I've deleted a couple of slides from your handout. That's because I want to bring the focus back to the globalized, rapid, and revolutionary digital development in recent years. Sometimes I will think that that's we can just describe it as communication revolution. Some people define it as the fourth industrial revolution. And I wonder how technologies, particularly digital development and AI, have been revolutionary to not only our surroundings, but also individual behaviors or conduct in relation to the digital infodemic during COVID-19. This animation shows that one person carrying a diverse range of ideologies can pop out from screens of other people, and each screen harboring more than one person. It seems to me that digital development has become an unnoticeable force, driving expansion of territory for just one person. When everybody's territory is expanded, it's very easy to collide with each other. I think that makes sense. And Is this why violence has been increasing? Some people even feel many violence are not. Some people even feel that many violence we have been seeing every day now are not conventional to their understanding. Maybe younger generation, like you guys, has been used to it because this is the environment with which your younger generation is familiar. However, it's not the case for other people. And this image shows how group communication was mostly conducted before remote meeting have become popular. Your parents or some of your senior friends are more familiar with this form of group communication. And which way can generate more misunderstanding or misinformation, and why? How many ideologies each person will hold in different scenarios? I will leave these questions for you to think about. Hopefully, these questions can also provide you more hints for the reason why infodemic has emerged at the digital age. Although rumors, misinformation, or disinformation are not new to human society. Let's go back to Hua Peng, whom you just saw in the documentary. He has been relying on social welfare system to support himself and his family because he just used his phone a lot. I initially assumed that he did so like any of us to keep relevant information or important information up to date. But no, he used phone to only look around without any particular purpose. I guess some of you do as well. So I asked him,
if you didn't use your phone to know such information, how did you know about it?
I went there straight away. It was much quicker by just asking someone face to face. It would be too late when seeing relevant information.
This answer from him may not be representative enough. However, his approach for reaching out for competitive welfare was through a face-to-face communication. That means digital platform may not be effective for communication as we would like it to be. In Hua Peng's situation, for social support, face-to-face communication is actually better. So, digital development and AI may have cultivated a rich, nutritious ground where a diverse range of individual views can express, grow, and spread out exponentially. However, without appropriate limitation, competing ideologies, including harmful and damaging language and conduct, can be more easily learned through personal smart device. It means that fake news, as a label framed by Donald Trump for his 2016 presidential election campaign, have already impacted so much on many society and many people, including children. His opponent and the many liable medias have been smeared by a large amount of fake news. This may even get worse if nothing can be done now to eliminate fake news as a label. How if younger generation knows about fake news better than rumors and hearsay? And if that's the case, the approach may need to be adjusted for reversing the meaning attached to fake news to something else. let's just go back to Huapeng's story. One of the key ways for me to stay connected with him has been through social media, such as Facebook or Line. That's how we could communicate with each other. When I was in Australia and he was in Taiwan, we barely made a call to each other unless necessary. A few days later, after my question to him about how he can be timely acknowledged about relevant information for his welfare support, he shared an irrelevant post on Facebook in public. He was questioning about the registration fee for an event in Taiwan run by a local entity being too expensive. He said,
Everybody has so much money. The revenue for this entity is nearly 90 million after the total income from registration fee is deducted by its total cost.
I asked him to provide evidence. Otherwise, that would be a rumor or even fake news if people took his post seriously. From my understanding about him, he must have gotten emotional breakdown. So that post was to find a target for his anger. Or he was sharing posts to get attention, to relieve his loneliness. No matter what, he spread our message, lacking any evidence. Without my understanding about him, other people would think that his message was just a rumor. For me, his post was only a vehicle for his frustration, discontent, or even anger to be released. As social media has already been used for many purposes in our everyday life, texts can be turned into informative news, whether that's real or not. Everybody becomes a media center where news and information are processed and broadcasted. So, if mobile phone can be described as a petri dish, and digital development for AI application can be described as agar, then misinformation or hearsay cultured on the agar dish can grow rapid and widely. When everything happening around someone can lively be witnessed, it leaves no room for any misunderstanding and unintended errors to be explained and hence timely corrected. So once you share it and someone says it, and if you found if later on you found there's a mistake, then how many people have already read the wrong message? In such context, white paper protests began to be mobilized from 2022. People controlled by CCP have suffered from long-term helplessness of speaking out for getting external support. The outbreak of this protest was on Urumqi Middle Road, 26 November 2022. If you would like to know more about it, here are 3 links for 1 trailer and 2 videos. I highly recommend you to read the description for 3 videos. I have also posted here. The first video link is Wuhan lockdown trailer. The second one is Wuhan lockdown. The last one is Shanghai White Paper protest, or also known as aka Not the Foreign Force. If you have time, please watch all one by one so that you can have a better understanding about how information has been managed by CCP. I gave a short talk for a candlelight memorial event in Canberra in the evening, 3rd December 2022. That was to express my condolences to the dead of the Urumqi fire on 24th November 2022. Here is my talk facilitated by AI. I shouldn't use this photo for such a sentimental talk. However, I did this deliberately because I want to show you how someone's real sentiment or emotion cannot be accurately expressed through AI.
My dear comrade fellows, I don't even know what my real identity is under Xi's determination for continuing zero COVID-19 policy by containing people at each of our home completely. Unfortunately, my mind is getting crazy, and I am still afraid of contracting coronavirus even I am supposed to be safe without any worry by staying at my own space. Xi's censorship has done nothing but stopped us from venting out our fears of representing ourselves in front of you. We cannot reach out for financial and psychological support from or share those with you and others to improve our quality of lives. No matter what I've been trying to write on internet or speaking and behaving in the public, they are all under Xi's watch. I thought that staying at my own home could be safe. The incident happening in Urumqi lately shows that containing lives of the deceased at home is certainly not the case. My comrade fellows in Urumqi are not able to enjoy fresh air again with us, even there could be a possible removal of lockdown measures in nearly future. When would that be? Who knows? I can only keep myself in a very low key, just like a white paper, to express my condolences to the dead whose sacrifice can be more meaningful and memorable by holding these lights with you. Lives of the dead and every of us, hopefully, would not be like a bunch of white papers after our gathering here today, showing our respects to the sacrificed and our angers towards Xi's empire. Ironically, Xi has turned his own homeland as an empire against which he is calling us to fight. Therefore, I'm here to request your support and attention to our well-being that cannot be fulfilled when our lives are dictated by Xi. My comrades and my existence and well-being are totally muted and even wiped out under Xi's worldview to leave everyone's life in turmoil. Your voices rejecting Xi's decision of the zero COVID-19 policy can inspire and transform us from being nobody like a white paper to someone living under panic every day. Please help us by telling Xi that he would have to give up his insistence in the zero COVID-19 policy. This has cost lives of innocents without their stories being heard, told, and kept. Being white is fine. However, a little bit color or text to the purified whiteness can rescue my fellow comrades and myself from our dwellings with limited space to feel connected with you again. I want to go home, a home that I could feel safe by spending more time with my family members and friends. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best when there would be possible spies amongst us.
Okay, I think this AI did a great job. Before the talk, I just show you, I would only like to play the audio because I knew that some of my friends may start to dissociate themselves from me afterward. But due to a little bit technical issue that night, I ended up sharing that audio in front of the audience. After that night, I really began to encounter a series of backlashes. The person who encouraged me to do so just walked away without taking any responsibility. And the photo on your left hand side shows a poster shared online to call for participants enjoying a candlelight vigil for Urumqi fire in Canberra. The photo on your right hand side shows there are two candlelight vigil flyers glued on a window at the Civic of Canberra. I didn't glue these two posters. However, I clearly remember one day I asked one of their staff about the possibility of having an exhibition of Taiwan's artists' work on a wall inside the building. That staff told me that as long as that's not something going to get him into trouble, that will be fine. What kinds of Taiwanese art would get him into trouble if works from Chinese artists had done many times of exhibitions there? Anyway, That was my first time to see a public protest event like this, organized and advertised by overseas Chinese students acting up against CCP in Canberra. At that time I lived there for 11 years. And Chinese embassy in Australia is not so far away from the Pacific. Before the candlelight vigils, I was reached out for this memorial because I was the president for a local Taiwanese association in Australia and based in Canberra. In the beginning, I would only like to share my experience of advocating for human rights in Taiwan as my support to the day of Urumqi fire and my Chinese friends starting in Canberra. I also would like to learn more about white paper protest, the pandemic situation in China, and the zero COVID-19 policy. As I understood that my position as the president for a local Taiwanese association in Australia could be very sensitive, I decided to do this on behalf of myself. However, this still brought me a little bit trouble later on in the local community of Taiwanese. I encourage participants for the candlelight vigil to take some measures to protect their identities from being exposed if they wouldn't be ready to take some adverse consequences. Unfortunately, even many of them hid their identities. They seem to begin to face some unwanted impact, so that my communication with them had been somehow intervened or interrupted. Last year, one of the participants had to fly back to China for an emergent event. After a couple of messages, I haven't been able to communicate with him. I'm not able to hear anything back from this participant after I flew back to Taiwan for the 2024 presidential election and the Lunar New Year. I knew that this could be the case. I knew this already that this could be the case. And that's why I kept telling participants that if you haven't been ready for any unintended consequence, please do not get themselves involved. As for myself, and I never regret about what I have been doing, even there has been a few adverse impact on myself and people around me. I understand that this protest has to be very determined to keep going until dictatorship can be defeated. Otherwise, people standing up to protest against totalitarian regime will be punished by dictators. That's because dictators will do whatever they can to bring protesters down. Here are a few photos relevant to the white paper protest in China. The upper left one is a screenshot from the documentary of Shanghai white paper protest. A female student at NWMEDIA College released a footage of holding an A4 white paper. That could be the first publicized and circulated record of making a call for rising up to mobilize people. The larger image is a screenshot from the same documentary. It shows a small and collective action for people to pay their condolences to the date of Urumqi fire incident on 24th November 2022. These photos were taken on ANU campus. The left-hand side one is a wall in the College of Business and Economy. Some students drew white paper on this wall. And in 2019, it was turned into a linen wall, showing solidarity with Hong Kongers. And the Chinese character on the blue wall in the photo on your right-hand side are the name of 4 Chinese cities. The biggest one is Urumqi. The left to it and from top to down are Zhengzhou, Shanghai, and Xi'an. The image in the middle was an event I organized at ANU. A couple of organizers for the Urumqi candlelight vigil came to support Taiwanese cultural event. During this event, I also noticed a couple of people only standing there to look around. As we were there to promote Taiwanese culture, we welcomed participants to just check without any engagement. That has been quite common for Taiwanese events like this in overseas countries to have visitors like that. Before I went to Australia, I have been a participant only for several protests and pride parade to call for social changes in Taiwan. My view about the other side of the cross strait had been only nearly one-sided to view CCP control people and CCP as the same. This is because for most Taiwanese, our understanding about the CCP control China had been largely from KMT's education. KMT is the abbreviation for Kuomintang. In other words, many Taiwanese, including myself, were incarcerated by KMT's propaganda as ideology. We haven't been able to make friends with people who are controlled by CCP to learn that better through our own angles. Whereas Taiwanese used to view Chinese from a KMT angle, Chinese have been viewing Taiwanese from a CCP angle. Most Taiwanese view about China are from media. That's why the control of Taiwan's media has been the CCP's mission for interfering Taiwanese society and the country where you are from. Luckily, I had opportunity to meet a couple of Chinese overseas students in Canberra, whether they were around me for other purpose or not. I began to realize that many of them have developed hatred and resentment against culture, including Taiwanese culture that is foreign to Chinese culture context. Culturally and politically narrow-minded, perhaps. Anthropologists, including particularly Professor Arthur Kleiman, and etc., in studying impact of cultural revolution, have addressed it through PTSD angle. I thought this could have any difference for the generation of CCP controlled people I met, but no, and in fact, it seemed to be more intensified after so many years of CCP ruling in China. The impact of cultural revolution and CCP ruling, I argue, has been more far-reaching than any of us could have imagined. Xi Jinping's dictatorship, accompanied with revolutionary digital development, reinforced this further. Ironically, totalitarian force, or the oligarchy, has been smearing democratic civil society as too selfish, greedy, and savage in constitution. But how about totalitarian regime? In the case of white paper movement, CCP has been so ironic. On one hand, it always criticized the complicity between democracy, freedom, and capitalism in creating the gap between the privileged and the poor. On the other hand, CCP has been doing nothing of failing its governance of poverty at grassroots level and managing collective corruption at their government level, exercising high-handed and arbitrary force to expand one's own power by annihilating their suspected enemies only shows their inability and carelessness about governance to manage civil unrest from becoming intensified. People at the bottom class of society and relatively disadvantaged people who must rely on social welfare support have already had a difficult life. However, poor governance by dictatorship has made them to face more life-threatening predicaments. If algorithm of AI automatically can select the information, I'm coming to the conclusion now. If algorithm of AI automatically can select the information that best suits the individual's self-preference or interest, it will also automatically screen out the information necessary for them to maintain their life. Important information may become less available to people because of being washed by other less important messages. If that's the case of fake news, misinformation is produced in whatever mechanism, people who may have already been more vulnerable from inaccurate information will be suffered more by such structure. Therefore, I argue, if algorithm of artificial intelligence cannot be appropriately used, regulated, and managed, it may pose a greater threat like structured violence to damage the everyday life and the health among the already vulnerable people further. Before I conclude this presentation, I would like to show you the last screenshot regarding the documentary of Shanghai White Paper protest. As you can see, it says, "This is perhaps the only thing we can do for those who have lost their life." This makes me wonder if this is perhaps the only thing protesters can do. Is that possible to attain greater force for a revolution to become possible so that a democratized mainland China may arrive? If people controlled by CCP cannot be free from the CCP governance, how could they truly become decolonized from their incarcerated ideologies? This is all I want to share for today. As different digital platform develops its own culture. Please scan this QR code for the collection of field sites where my paper has been exploring. I have deleted 2 of my Twitter accounts for good. One is Real Taiwan Man and the other one is Fake OC Bogan. There has been just so many fake or ridiculous news being circulate on Twitter and TikTok. I feel that's quite difficult for this topic to be explored without any key source of misinformation. That's a dilemma, isn't it? Anyway, thank you for your attention, and I look forward to have your comments and feedback for further discussion.